This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. Two business parks in Wayne County are primed for more business development after moves made in 2022. The Economic Development Corporation of Wayne County has acquired 335 acres of land in Richmond to create a Phase 3 of its Midwest Industrial Park to remedy a lack of space.
Over the years, we've been successful in attracting 9 tenants to the Midwest Industrial Park. And what that has left us is a number of remaining lots that range anywhere from 5 to 32.5 acres that don't really meet the needs of larger tenants. And so it was our desire to look at expanding the park to acquire larger tracts of ground to accommodate larger companies and their needs.
EDC President Valerie Schaefer said infrastructure work done last year has also allowed for additional sites at the Gateway Industrial Park in Cambridge City to be marketed to new companies. Bloomington-based craft distillery Cardinal Spirits will expand its contract bottling services, ready-to-drink canned cocktails, and bourbon production with a $50,000 investment from the IU Angel Network. The distillery said it plans to boost canned cocktail production to 50,000 cases per year. Evansville-based Old National Bank is relocating its downtown Louisville office following the mass shooting in April where 5 people were killed. The new office, set to open June 26th, will be about a mile down the road in the city's downtown business district. Stockyards Bank and Trust previously occupied the office space but consolidated its operations to make room for Old National. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Get ready, West Central Indiana. We're headed your way. IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the inaugural Engage West Central Indiana event presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. Tuesday, June 20th at Holman Center at Indiana State University. We'll be diving into talent, education, and other issues shaping the regional economy. More at ibj.com/engage.
Satisfaction rates for Hoosier Medicaid recipients trail behind the national average, with many delaying necessary medical care as low reimbursement rates disincentivize providers from accepting the coverage.
The findings come from a new National Medicaid Matters report. Nearly 72% of national respondents were mostly or completely satisfied with the quality of care they received. But that number drops to about 62% for Hoosiers, who were mostly or completely satisfied. Even for those who enrolled successfully, the process was confusing and burdensome. 3 national organizations surveyed nearly 3,000 Medicaid recipients between September 2022 and February of 2023 about their experiences. Nearly half of Indiana participants said applying for Medicaid coverage was challenging, while nearly 43% said they had difficulties attempting to renew their coverage. This comes at a time when millions of people across the country, including hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers, will suddenly lose coverage through a redetermination process. The agency overseeing Medicaid, the Family and Social Services Administration, notes that all states are navigating an unprecedented process and following federal guidance to resume normal operations. The department says it is doing more outreach than ever before to reach Hoosiers who may be at risk of losing coverage. The FSSA added that KFF, a nonprofit health policy organization, ranked Indiana among the most prepared states for the redetermination process, crediting the agency for its renewal, capacity, and eligibility policies. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
The Indiana Broadband Office and Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs have designated Ohio and Dearborn counties, the town of Moores Hill, the town of Dillsboro, and the city of Rising Sun as the state's latest broadband-ready communities. The designation, according to the state, shows a community has taken steps to reduce barriers to broadband infrastructure investment. In a joint statement, leadership from each community said reducing the regulatory hurdles that deter investment is a key step toward creating an environment ripe for broadband investment to help all homes and businesses get connected. This year's Indianapolis 500 saw several major milestones, including a near-record crowd at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and a record payout for winner Joseph Newgarden. But history was also made at the oldest building inside IMS, the IU Health Emergency Medical Center. Dr. Julia Visor became the first female to serve as medical director for IMS and the NTT IndyCar Series this season.
Still gives me goosebumps thinking about how big of a city this becomes. We have routinely 300,000 people and plus. So think about a city of that size. What kind of medical emergencies or even basic trauma emergencies will you have? And we have ability to evaluate them, start treatment, start resuscitation, stabilize them, and get them transported to definitive care very rapidly.
Also new to the series this year is the IndyCar Medical Unit, a state-of-the-art medical trailer that travels to every other race on the schedule and allows Visor's medical team to provide much of the same care at all races as it does at IMS. West Fork Whiskey Company co-founder Blake Jones is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.